Welcome back, family. LanceScurv here. We just wrapped up a show on the Muslim Street with Brother Malik Aziz, Brother Art Mobley, and Professor Vibrant Issa White. Always informative, always informative. I love it. It boosts me up and makes me feel strong. Anyway, it's been a very productive day for me, and I want it to be that way for the rest of the week, like I promised, with content. And of course, my brain is a very unusual brain because it moves fast and I think a lot of thoughts. My thoughts are clear. This is like a boxer's training camp. My home is like a boxer's training camp for a big heavyweight title fight. Supreme focus, supreme nutrition, rest, no distractions, no haters in camp, just a pure life of flowing and doing what it is that I enjoy doing the most. And I thank the Creator for allowing me to get to this point in life. Many people don't make it to where they get a chance to pursue their, how could I put it? Not just their dreams, but their mission, what it is that they're supposed to do in this life. And that brings an inner calm. The more and more each day passes by, is the more you get relaxed in it, the more you get in focus and in line, and things flow even more so because you have absolutely no distractions, no external fights, no funny feelings. Everything is like I say, your home is like your womb. It keeps you strong, it nourishes you, and it gets you prepared for the outside world. I just had to say that. I don't know. I didn't even plan on saying that, but that's just what's flowing out of my mouth. But I'm just so grateful for the comments that you leave, the interaction. I'm going to get more into more and more subjects that might be touchy but need to be talked about. And I'm just loving the growth because this channel is 2 years old and it's taking its time getting there. You know, we have our little ways that we have to swim up the current, upstream because of the powers that be, but that's okay because it's not going to stop me, right? And as long as I know I have good people like yourselves with me and we vibe together and have fun. Let me tell you something. This is fun. Doing this stuff is fun, right? It really is. But there was a statement made, I believe by Sister, if I'm saying it right, Quickware. That's QuikWia. I don't know if there's a quick, it's a QIK. So I don't know if you hear a W, if it's silent or not. There's no W there. But I apologize if I pronounced it wrong. But I see all of your comments, you, my sister, and everyone else. So keep them coming. They stimulate me to do new topics. And when you said that, to the effect of, I don't know the exact words, I should really pull it up on my phone and look at it, that we live in a throwaway time, a throwaway culture, a throwaway society when it comes to relationships. So you threw that seed at me and I took it and ran with it. And it made me think how desensitized we are. The scrolling, how people get on like Facebook. Instagram is different because people want you to follow them. But on a platform like Facebook, people will friend request you and don't really know you. It's not like a page where you follow, like you're a fan, but your personal page, because some people don't care to have big numbers. It's their inner circle, right? But other people know that. They send you a friend request and you're like, you say to yourself, do I halfway know this person? Or did I meet them at a social gathering? Or are they connected to someone? Or do we have a shared interest really extreme that I put out there and somebody's responding? I can understand that. But we know, and I'm not trying to demonize the fellas, but you'll have a nice profile picture looking luscious in a decent way. Some women are indecent. And here these guys come wanting a friend request you. You know what that's for. And my thing is, if there's no commonality, if there's no connection, what are you doing this for? Especially since we live in the throwaway society, the throwaway culture, where people can meet people in person, but more so on social media, try to talk to you, try to get close to you, try to find out your world, explore your world. And if it's something they don't like, they get rid of you. They block you. They delete you. What kind of mess is that? what happened to having long-term friendships? Now, of course, also, I know people from way back, and I see them, they'll pop up on Facebook. I may not have talked to them in years, but we grew up in the same neighborhood, and they would say, "Oh, Leah, Lance, come on in. I know you." That's great, because otherwise I would have probably never had connection with them if it wasn't for social media. I can see that. An old classmate or somebody you used to work with that you ate lunch with a lot, right? But now, many of us have become so desensitized because we have the dating apps, and there is somewhat of a good side to that if it was used properly. I'm not just going to go old school on everybody and say, if it wasn't before 1985, it's no good. No, but people don't know how to present themselves. They're presenting a false persona to attract people and deceive them, right? We got the trees, the leaves falling down all over me. You might see it, right? Got a big mango tree next to me. I should have aimed it that way. The sun's going down, so my light, let me put this light on, even though you can't see it. So just in case it gets darker, it'll illuminate me a little bit. But yeah, like I was saying, then you can't trust people. We have more ways of meeting people and connecting with people, but we're lonelier and disconnected more than ever before. So what's the advantage? You see, I'm going to get old man on you now. My 63 years of telling on me. But back in the day, I had to say it, and many people will agree with me. You met people face to face. You had the natural curiosity or connection. If you went to a house party, and I might have been 14, 15 years old, 13 years old, you know, the parents of a certain household, they're throwing a birthday party for one of your classmates and you're invited. So you go there, and there's another young lady who may be a cousin. I'm just speaking from my experience, right? Who may be a cousin of your classmate or another family member from somewhere else. Some kind of connection. And so you go there, you know pretty much everybody. And if you don't know them real good, you know their faces. And then you see this one. And on the physical level, you kind of get a crush on her. You're decent. You're in somebody's home. You met through somebody. Also, because the world has expanded more, and we've always flown. But I would say many years ago, you dealt with who was in your vicinity more so. You married, you dated, you dealt with who was in your physical surroundings, your neighborhood, your county, your area, whatever you want to say, your village. Because I know I have family back in Jamaica on my father's side that you'd have a sister marry a man, and then the other sister ended up marrying the brother. You see what I mean? Because they all were in close proximity to each other. They weren't texting somebody in another country or on the other side of the country. So they say the world has gotten smaller. It hasn't gotten smaller in actuality on a physical level, but it has gotten smaller on a technological level where you can talk to somebody, you fly to them, you meet them, you might fall in love. And so we have a lot of mixing up going on. I don't think it would have been possible, okay, like we have now. We have guys that meet women online. And usually it's some kind of agreed upon decadence, maybe. And they may say, I'm in Atlanta right now. Where are you, in California, right? I'm going to fly you in. You could do that before, but not really, because you didn't have the accessibility to so many people that you can connect with from somewhere else to say fly in. Nobody would have flew in after meeting a stranger somewhere, because you couldn't meet them online before online existed. So now that we have all of this lubrication, all of this speed, all of this movement and turnover, it's easy to throw people away. It's easy to meet them and reserve your heart, basically as you should, because you don't know who you're meeting. But when you met people face to face and you had the reference of friends, You're like, hey, that's your cousin over there? Yeah, man. You like her? Yeah, I like the way she looks. She looks like a nice person. She looks a little shy. Hey, man, let me introduce you to her. That's how it happened. And now you introduce, you're a little nervous and you might exchange numbers, but you know you have that reference point of that family who is family to her, and they know you in the neighborhood growing up, so they can vouch. So when you talk now over the phone, that cousin may not have planned on coming back out to meet their cousins, but they're coming back out to the cousins really because they want to see me. When's the next time you're coming out? This is after good conversations, getting to know a person, getting to talk a person, getting to a good feel of them with the reference of that real live connection. Guess what? You don't throw them away that quick, right? You don't throw them away at all. I said that quick. No, but you don't throw them away at all. If anything, you take your time with them. Get to know them because you have a reputable, honorable connection to their family. So you're not going to be disrespectful to the family and treat their cousin bad. Now you got a problem with the family and you know that. But with the throwaway generation, the disposable generation, it doesn't matter because you don't know any of their family. You flew them out from California. You went up into the hotel in Atlanta, had sex, don't even know the person's last name or their health status, their dreams, their aspirations. So this hedonistic throwaway, meaning that I'm going to use you like a piece of toilet paper and I don't care. When I flush it, it's gone. How many people think, I wonder what happened to the toilet paper that I used 13 days ago, right? Nobody thinks about that. But just as much these days, we treat people that way. We have women and men who lay up with a lot of people like it's recreational sex. Sister Hope says, sport, F-U-C-K-ing. See, Sister Hope, I didn't forget. And then you see them maybe a year or 2 years, and you look at them and you say, where do I remember them from? I remember. Yeah, I remember. I don't even remember her name. That's bad. Now that can happen before social media. But I tell you one thing, that's almost considered the norm right now. And social media has ushered in a time where dysfunction is considered the norm. It doesn't shock you anymore. There's a lot of things that don't shock us anymore in this day and age because we're being bombarded with all this information and we're numb to it. So when we see certain things, there is no norm or proper way or certain protocols to go through like we used to back in the day. And not only that, I was a young teenager, that's the way it was, but still, even coming up, it was some kind of connection. Now, randomly, you might meet somebody at the mall. I understand that. That's still your area because they always ended up not living too far from you. Or the summer vacation where maybe somebody's cousin came from another part of the city and they spent the summer there, right? And you got to know them that way. And the summertime was over, you're a little sad. You said, we got to keep in contact. And maybe nothing happened. It doesn't always have to be where it's something sexual. Why do people have to think that? That as soon as I meet you, I'm going to bed you down and see what your head game is like, Where are we going? Because I have some pleasant memories. I have some pleasant romantic memories with young ladies who I never put my hand on them in a wayward way when I was much younger. You might have stole a kiss. You might have held hands. You took the young lady out, but you weren't expecting anything. Now, when I got a little older and got some muscles on me and, found myself in different professions, you all know the deal. I was thrust into a different world and different types of people around me. So things accelerated and those things weren't any problem because for me personally, I never expected anything. I wasn't predatory, number one. I'm only speaking from experience, and that's why I'm comparing it to this time now. If we went out to have a good time. We went out to eat. We went out to walk up and down New York City, go to the restaurants, go to the stores, go to Washington Square Park and hang out, laugh, stay the whole night out. I never expected anything. It wasn't like, well, I'm spending all this money, so you better do something physical. So that means I'm not even paying you any mind as a human being. There are people who know me, and I know I haven't been in contact with them because it wasn't that kind of connection. It was casual, but they might look at this video and say, I remember him. He treated me so nice. And I get a lot of text messages like that. I was never a wolf that way. If anything, the women wolfed me, and I didn't complain, right? But it was still wholesome. It wasn't deceitful. If it didn't work out where we never hung out that much anymore, or, well, I have a boyfriend now, dedicated, cool. If you call me and you're on the side of the road and you have a flat tire and you're near where I am or a little further, I'll come help you with the tire. I'll give you the boost if your battery dies out. I'm not gonna, oh, you ain't giving me none. I ain't. You better call your boyfriend. Now, I know people got this term called simp. I was never that, but I was always with a certain spirit. You know, because it wasn't just about that. Because if I go somewhere, and listen, let me tell you something. Growing up, whether I had people around me or not, I was still having fun. I'm a fun magnet. I would go out by myself and people would get attracted to me. Like if you're somewhere, not even in a nightclub, you're in a park, in a restaurant, and people start talking to you and say, hey, dude, what are you doing after this, man? We're going over here. It was always that way. And something decent, something safe. I ended up at a lot of parties, gatherings, different things that I would have never been exposed to if I didn't have the kind of demeanor that I had. So I didn't have to scheme anybody out of anything. It was out of pure fun. You see what I mean? And that's why I can't relate to today. And it's not even a today thing. It's been going on for a couple decades already. And I'm going to tell you something. I was speaking to a friend of mine. He was telling me, you know, we were speaking about the fun we used to have. And I told him, and I said this on another video, like many men, I'm not going to say all, many men use their sexual resume as currency. And for those who may not have been successful, meaning that they met a woman and went all the way with her, which is not all the way if it's just physical, because you don't even know this person. You need a chance to know them and vibe with them and really get to know their spiritual imprint. But this is something, and a lot of men don't understand what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. There are many men that, as I've gotten older, can pick up that I'm not one of those guys that are like, when everybody goes away, and we start talking nasty. I make jokes sometimes, right? And I'll tell you about the joke I made the other day with the taxi cab driver. But a lot of men who got older and didn't get attention from women, they may have had girlfriends or a wife or whatever, but their so-called dashing days of sowing their oats never existed on a certain level. And I've met men like this who, when they meet me, they see I'm so relaxed around women, whether we're at a social gathering or in public or whatever, and they start giving me the side eye. You know why? Because they figured out that I've always been very personable with young ladies, right? And it was never always about that. And they're getting mad because of the action, read between the lines, that they thought I had. They're mad at you for women they thought that you dealt with when they didn't even know you. You don't even know me, man. But they know that I have, what's this bug trying to get in my ear? Why do they always target the ears? Like it's a landing strip. You are now landing in ear. Right? But I can go deep on that. Maybe you don't understand it. A lot of men won't understand it. You know, when I was younger, I used to do the male dancing and stuff. I don't want to put it out there for them. And I don't ride on that. But I did bodybuilding, we had ways and agencies and different things. So that's why there's a lot of experience now. Not just from that. I didn't need that. But again, what is happening these days with men who get rid of, and women do it too, both. He acted like that Mercedes-Benz was his, but it ended up being his uncle's. in that house that he said was his, I knew something was up because that was his uncle's house too, but his uncle was out of town. So he had the keys and he was there. And that's why I saw the uncle's picture with the wife and the kids on the wall and children's rooms. When I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and I looked in the different rooms and I saw a crib in one of them. I saw guys lie. Women lie too. Right? Women are looking sometimes. The ones who are gold diggers, they will get rid of you quick when they find that you don't have it in the pockets in the bank account the way you acted when you were at the nightclub. So many people, to compound that, so many people, not only are they're getting rid of people, like they're picking from a bin the day after Christmas when everything has been shopped over. Do I want? No, I don't want that. No, I don't want that. But they do this, and both sides are doing it to each other. So it's compounding. But when you do that, how are you really getting the connection? How are you really getting the connection? There's so many things I can say about that. But as far as the joke that I said that, this cab driver, he was taking me somewhere. And I was like half a block from the destination. And he saw a young lady, because it was him and his friend in the front seat. He saw a young lady that evidently he knew from before. But he saw and he was shocked. And the other guy knew her from before too, and he wanted to talk to her. Then he turned around at me real quick, like to say, oh, damn, I got to take him up a half a block. So I picked up on that. These guys were young. I said, man, go ahead and talk to her, man. I'll get out here. You know what I mean? They started laughing. I said, I may be a little older than you guys, but I was young also, because I could see that it wasn't anything devious with them. He really wanted to talk. The driver wanted to talk to the young lady. And she was happy to see him too. That's the thing. So I didn't want to stop that. I got out a half a block and I walked. I said, go back, man. He went up a little bit. But that was a real genuine thing because they met and connected before. They weren't throwaways to each other. And that's what bothers me, because what kind of families are we going to produce? What kind of children are we going to have if the initial contact was basically between two people who have that throwaway mentality when it comes to a human being? All relationships are not going to work out. All connections are not going to work out. Sometimes people do have those 3 a.m. calls. We all go through things. We're human. So I can't fault you for that. But the bottom line is just too much. And the youngsters now are growing up in that. This is 2026. I always like to play it with the numbers. Say a person was born in 2006, a year after YouTube was made. They're 20 years old now. They're going into adulthood. And we know the brain is not fully developed until the age of 25. So is this all they know is the throwaway culture if they weren't raised properly? And still some people do it even when they were raised properly. You know what I mean? So I'd like to hear your feedback on that. I don't know where we're going. We're making advances on a technological level. There are a lot of things going on in the world that are not good. We got the war going on. We got all this stuff going on. There's some good things going on. But as far as our human development and these bugs that are chasing me away, as far as how we relate to each other, will we really ever know true romantic love anymore? They're taking the time to really feel a person, to connect with them. And then we're paranoid. We don't want to be hurt. Why did you get hurt? Because you were part of the throwaway culture. Somebody ditched you, you ditched somebody, and you're going into unions. You have the attraction, but you filter it now. Well, it's just going to be sex and no love. How do you do that? Oh, yeah, I know how it's done. But that leaves you in a very imbalanced state after a while, and you're worn out after a while because you had all the sex down through the years, but your emotions were trapped, and you don't even know how to open up now because you think what you do with somebody who you're really interested in, you have the memory of, okay, they might one day be the past, and we're tentative, and we're messing ourselves up, and we don't realize how fast time can move by when we're wasting it. We can make some misjudgments and stuff, but if you just keep doing it and staying on one level, you're not going to get anywhere. Do we have families that are made now where the parents, right, who had the 15 kids or the 10 kids, even though the modern day things are so expensive, many people don't do that. But out in the country and back in the day when things weren't so expensive, yeah. Tell me your story. Like that couple in the Jet magazine where the husband is 105 and the wife is 102. You know what I mean? And we were married from when he was 23 and I was 20 years old. So we've been married for 80 years. 80 years. 80 years. Can we have that now in the Throwaway society? Answer that for me. Let me know how you feel about that. Anyway, I'm going to go in. I'm going to try to make some more content after I eat. I've been having fun today. No interruptions. No distractions. It's never that. Here. Soundproof studio. Noise could be outside. I don't hear nothing. I feel good. And I feel good doing what I do. And I thank you for encouraging me and motivating me and vibing with me. Like I always say, LanceScurv out. On to the next one. Salute to my brothers. Much love to my sisters. Peace.